Have you ever heard a story about a cornfield that holds a dark secret? In a small village called Bristle Creek, the cornfield is not just a place to farm. It's a silent witness to a mysterious event that shook the entire village. One dark night, a young woman named Martha was found dead in the middle of the cornfield. No witnesses, no clear traces, only silence and lurking shadows. This is where the story begins, a tale that connects the past, mystery, and a young man's struggle to uncover the truth. Martha was no ordinary woman. She belonged to a family that had lived in Bristle Creek for generations and was known as the trusted guardian of the cornfield. However, lately Martha had become restless, feeling like she was being watched by something invisible. When her death was discovered, the villagers quickly split into two camps. Some believed it was the doing of a supernatural entity guarding the field, while others were convinced it was the work of a human. Amidst the fog of uncertainty emerged Eugene, Martha's cousin who had just returned home, determined to uncover the truth behind his cousin's death. The police arrived and began an investigation, but their efforts seemed sluggish, as if they were reluctant to dig too deep. News of Martha's death spread rapidly, and whispers began to circulate. Villagers shared theories. Some spoke of an old family curse. Others blamed outsiders who were changing the face of the village. Fear and suspicion grew, turning the once peaceful village into a place filled with tension. Eugene knew he couldn't stay silent. He had to act before the truth was buried by fear and lies. Eugene started tracing Martha's steps in the vast cornfield. There, he found her hidden journal beneath a large stone. Its pages were filled with notes about strange shadows stalking her, whispers in the night, and a deepening sense of fear. One of the most shocking entries was about the shadow in the field, a mysterious figure that had been following her and might now be the reason for her death. With a pounding heart, Eugene realized he was stepping into a world long hidden from human eyes. That night, Eugene returned to the cornfield alone. He brought a flashlight and a recorder, hoping to capture something unseen. As he walked between the tall corn stalks, soft whispers called his name. His heart raced, and a dark shadow appeared in the distance. Rizal tried to chase it, but it vanished instantly. He returned home with a clouded mind, feeling that the cornfield was no ordinary place, but a gateway to something darker and more dangerous. The next day, Eugene visited his grandmother, Nana Sarah, who had... Driven by curiosity, Eugene searched through village archives and discovered an old map marked with mysterious symbols around the cornfield. The symbols matched the rituals his grandmother had mentioned. He also uncovered a pattern of village deaths connected to Martha's family, occurring every 20 years. This information opened Eugene's eyes. These events were no coincidence, but part of a dark cycle that needed to be broken. Eugene confronted Mr. Bram, the village head, who had always seemed indifferent. Mr. Bram admitted he knew about the pact, but felt powerless to stop it. Before parting, he handed Eugene an old key and told him to open a shed behind the village prayer hall. Filled with curiosity, Eugene unlocked the shed and found a box of ritual items, including an audio recording of Martha's final confession and plea. In the recording, Martha spoke of rituals performed by village elders to protect the field and harvest. But since being chosen as the intermediary between humans and the field's guardian, Martha felt constantly threatened. She begged anyone who heard the recording to end the curse that had haunted the village for too long. Her message solidified Eugene's resolve to continue her fight, even if it meant facing unimaginable danger. Eugene began having nightmares. He saw a tall, shadowy figure with hollow eyes following him. Each morning, he found muddy cornfield footprints in his house, signs the entity was real and watching. Nana Sarah advised him to leave the village for his own safety, but Eugene refused. He believed he was the only one who could fight back and save his village from the curse. Eugene gathered a few villagers who still believed in the truth of the story. He explained the blood pact and the cycle of deaths that had to be stopped, but not everyone was willing to listen. Many were afraid of losing their fields and livelihoods, choosing silence and letting the curse continue. Eugene realized his fight wasn't just against a supernatural force, but also against human fear and denial. The next night, Eugene and a few brave villagers performed a cleansing ritual in the field. They burned incense, recited ancient prayers learned from Martha's journal, and planted protective herbs around the field. But the entity appeared as a giant shadow trying to stop them. The struggle intensified, but Eugene and the small group's spirit burned bright. Mr. Bram finally spoke up, revealing a long-hidden truth. He was a direct descendant of the elders who made the original pact, and he felt guilty for never opposing it. He gave Eugene a complete map and a secret incantation that would end the curse if spoken at a specific spot in the field. With Mr. Bram's help, Eugene felt more prepared to face the final trial. Eugene prepared himself to confront the entity alone on the night of the full moon. He brought all the ritual tools and the incantation given by Mr. Bram. As night fell, he walked to the heart of the cornfield, the place where Martha was last seen alive. The rustling corn and howling wind made the atmosphere even more chilling, but Eugene stood firm, carrying the hope of the entire village on his shoulders. As Eugene began chanting the incantation, a massive shadow appeared and attacked him. They battled in the darkness between the real world and the supernatural. Eugene felt an overwhelming force trying to crush his spirit, but he strengthened himself with memories of Martha and his promise to the village. Slowly, light began to shine through the field, signaling that the incantation was working. The guardian spirit let out a final, earth-shaking scream. The cornfield trembled as if it might collapse, but Eugene held his ground, continuing the chant until the entity vanished, and peace returned to the field. The once cold and heavy air turned fresh, bringing new hope to Bristle Creek. Eugene knew this struggle had not only ended the curse, but restored peace for everyone. The next morning, the villagers awoke with an incredible sense of relief. The cornfield looked greener and more fertile than ever before. Martha could finally rest in peace, and her family's name was no longer tied to the curse. Eugene was hailed as a hero, but he knew the journey had taught him that courage and truth are always stronger than fear and darkness. Bristle Creek began to change. The villagers lived in harmony again, and the cornfield became a symbol of life and new hope. Eugene decided to stay and continue the tradition of guarding the field, but this time in a new way, more open, filled with love. He encouraged everyone to respect nature and history, so the tragedies of the past would never be repeated. The story of the cornfield spread to nearby villages. Many came to learn about courage and the power of community. Bristle Creek became an example of how to face a dark past with heads held high and hearts wide open. And through it all, Eugene remained the faithful guardian of the cornfield, keeping the story alive as a lesson for generations to come. Now,